I was speaking with Lee Bollinger about coming to Columbia. I'm a New Yorker. He brought out to Michigan, where they had more land than I ever thought I could imagine. And he was saying that Columbia was out of space. And being someone who had from New York, I kind of understood that. But I truly didn't understand the acute, real effect the lack of space was having on the university's sense of its future. And that has to do with whether we could attract and retain the best researchers to do science, but it also had to do with students competing for every closet. It's embarrassing to say, the senior leadership of the university, not including the president when I first got here, would meet every 2 weeks to assign each closet that had become free on the campus. This is really an extraordinary inflection point. We have as much space as the first McKim-Mead-White master plan for this campus. We are moving forward with mind-brain behavior. We have the best neuroscience department in the world, and that is going to be a pivotal point in our growth of science on the campus. We're in the process now of doing architect selection for Columbia Business School, a very important move for one of the jewels in the university's crown. We're going to have the School of the Arts on 125th Street. As Joe has said, we have felt the pressure move from trying to persuade people it was actually going to happen to everyone saying to us, make it happen faster. And the goal here, candidly, is to turn Columbia back into a typical university. At a typical university, when there's a compelling intellectual agenda and there's money, you could build the facilities to explore that agenda. At Columbia, we had neither the money nor the space to do that. The space is now available. Susan's working very, very hard to find the financial resources, and we, as a typical great research university, can now pursue our future. So it's a very exciting moment that will frankly unfold over the next generation or so. Susan, what's happening at the university from your perspective that's not yet in the headlines?
So one of the things that I had a couple of things I wanted to show you. So this may not be totally responsive to Robert, but I wanted to show this to you anyway. You know how you, as a politician who makes sure she gets her points across.
We've already discussed who has the leverage in this relationship.
So, and I had hoped, I'm happy to tell you, it's been obviously a very difficult year from the development perspective because of the economic situation. Although we have fared this period remarkably well because so many alumni and friends had already made us a philanthropic priority. And I'm happy to say the university campaign to raise $4 billion by the end of calendar 2011 continues to be ahead of schedule. And we raised almost 400 million new pledges and gifts in fiscal year '09 toward that goal, so that was a good thing. I had hoped there might be a big new gift that I could give you advance word about. Stay tuned. I'm hoping that we'll be able to talk about that soon. And while I have the microphone, I'm just going to keep it for a second.
Please, go right ahead.
Yeah, exactly. So in case you hadn't seen it, we talked about the ribbon cutting for the Alumni Center, and we had a couple of photos. Lee Bollinger and Bill Campbell, some university trustees. Jeff Colvin, the head of the College Alumni Association, who's here this morning and is doing a program, along with Michelle Moody Adams, the new dean of the college. That was a great moment, and we did actually cut the ribbon, and there was a little suspense. It was a great day. Finally, in terms of things that have changed, athletics. When Lee Bollinger came back to Columbia, he had worked so hard at Michigan not to let athletics get over, important. He did not like the fact that Columbia was at the bottom when, you looked at performance. His view is if we're gonna have athletics, then we should strive to be as good in athletics as we are at everything else that we try to do. Diane Murphy came in. She's just finished her 5th year as athletic director. A lot of wonderful things have happened, and she gave this report to the October trustees meeting where she showed this chart. And then, so this is total Ivy championships from 93, 94 to 2003-04, so over a 10-year period. And then you look at what's happened since 2004, 2005. We're now in the middle of the pack, and real progress on that front. And We still have a long way to go. I have a few extra tickets to the Harvard game. If anybody wants to duck out on the session, I won't tell. If anybody wants to go, seriously, I have a few in my purse. So anyway, I think that's a great Columbia story too, and one that's still unfolding.